This is WLBT First Alert Weather.
Time right now is 5:10 here on a Tuesday morning. Here's a live look from our Alpha Insurance Skycam. This is coming from atop of the Regions Bank building here in downtown Jackson, looking towards the Mississippi State Capitol. We've got some hazy skies on the way, but at least sunshine will prevail as we start off the day. Right now, temperatures are hanging out in the 70s as we start things off on this Tuesday morning. 74 Jackson, 75 in McGee. Good morning to you. 77 in Macomb, 74 in Lexington, and 75 in Carthage. So your forecast for today, a mixture of clouds and sunshine similar to what we've seen the recent couple of days, but what we not necessarily have seen the last couple of days has been the searing heat. Yesterday got out to 98 degrees. I think we will rival that again today. Yesterday, the hottest day of the year. I think today going to rival that again across the region. And a chance for a cooling shower thunderstorm a little bit lower than what we saw yesterday in some coverage areas. But still, you get the idea that there will be at least an opportunity for a few of us to get a cooling shower thunderstorm as those drift down from the north down to the south. 70s again to start you off on your Wednesday morning. We'll do the whole process over again, but there is a slightly better opportunity for a few more scattered showers and thunderstorms through the afternoon hours of Wednesday as high pressure starts to build a little farther off to the north. Start to get a few cooling downpours amid very warm temperatures, still likely feeling closer to 103 to 108 degrees to the afternoon hours of your Wednesday. So let's talk about the tropics. Again, a very active pattern setting up for us across the area over the coming days once we get towards the end of the week with this disturbance that continues to drop its way through middle Georgia now. And once it gets into the Gulf of Mexico, it will have a much better probability of development as we head through the next few days. As of right now, a 40% probability of development over the next 2 days, an 80% probability of development over the next 5 days. Here's the setup, a big ridge of high pressure expanding across the region. And yes, in a sense, that would typically bring the weather to be fairly quiet. But what's happening as the system drops into the Gulf and forms, it will likely take a western track following the bottom side of that ridge. We got the warm water, we've got the low shear, and what we are going to be tracking going forward is the track itself, the intensity of the system, and what kind of local impacts we will have. As of right now, we do expect an increase in shower and thunderstorm activity across the region, starting off mainly on Thursday, but that does not mean that we will have a direct impact from the system. But there's still some uncertainty here that we need to keep an eye on from the coastal bend of Texas all the way back over to the Alabama-Florida line, with that possibility of the system actually making an impact. And of course, we're in the middle of that, so we'll keep an eye on it. Of course, we'll keep you updated right here on television as well as the free First Alert Weather app. As well as the confidence, again, right now, low in confidence in limited impacts, but at this point, this could change. I think we still have some time to kind of look this over and get some more information, but at least you know that there is that possibility that we could have a tropical system in the Gulf of Mexico as we head towards the latter half of this week and going into this upcoming weekend, and how that could affect your weather forecast. Again, say weather aware with us on the free First Alert Weather app, a download in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. In the meantime, searing heat today and tomorrow. 96 the high temperature today, tomorrow 94 heading into Thursday. A little better opportunity for some afternoon showers and storms as we head towards the afternoon hours of the latter half of the week. Now, once we get towards the weekend, that's when the rain chances do start to increase as we may have a little bit more of an influence from that system in the northern Gulf. There's still a lot of question marks here, and I think there will be some wiggle room with the forecast. So again, stay weather aware on the WLBT app as well as here on television and WLBT.com.
Thanks, Patrick. It's time for your First Alert traffic and weather together now. This is a live look at Lakeland Drive at Old Fannin Road this morning. And you can see a few cars out there. We haven't had any reports of any crashes or tie-ups on the road so far, but we'll keep an eye on the traffic conditions for you at Skycopter MS on Twitter.
Coming up on 5:16 here on a Tuesday morning, here's a live look from our Alpha Insurance Skycam. This is coming from the top of our tower here in downtown Jackson. A fairly quiet start to your morning. Right now sitting in the middle 70s in most locations to start off the day. It will get fairly hot fairly quickly across the region. So the pool forecast for today quickly warming up. By 10 o'clock we're at 89 degrees, 94 at 1, 96 at 4 o'clock this afternoon with a chance for a few hit and miss showers and storms. Wind running out of the north and west of about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Keep in mind the burn time. So time that it would take for your skin to burn today, about 30 minutes. It won't take very long at all amid the heat, the humidity, and the sunshine out there if you do not put on any sunscreen. So make sure you're putting on sunscreen, stay hydrated today, and stay cool in general. We'll take another check of your 7-day forecast at the bottom of the half hour.
Opioids are often prescribed for ankle sprains, despite guidelines against that. Researchers from the University of Michigan looked at nearly 600,000 people treated for a sprained ankle. About a quarter were prescribed opioids in the emergency room, and 8% were still filling that prescription 90 days later. The recommended treatment for sprained ankles includes ice, anti-inflammatory drugs, support, and exercise. Another study from the University of Michigan finds most patients with pneumonia are treated with antibiotics longer than necessary. Researchers looked at more than 6,000 patients with pneumonia and found 2/3 received more antibiotics than they needed, mostly because of prescriptions being given as patients were being discharged. Those patients did not fare much better and were more likely to report stomach problems and yeast infections.
A new study finds air pollution does a lot more damage to our lungs than previously thought. Researchers looked at data from over 300,000 people exposed to higher levels of air pollution between 2006 and 2010. They found exposure to particle pollution ages lungs more quickly and increases the risk of developing COPD. According to the EPA, particle pollution is the mix of solid and liquid droplets in the air. It can come from coal and natural gas plants, along with cars, agriculture, unpaved roads, and construction sites. Americans aren't eating enough whole grains. A new government study shows whole grains make up about 16% of total grain intake among adults, far lower than the recommended 50%. Older adults, women, and those with higher incomes ate the most whole grains. Whole grain intake has gone up slightly since 2005, but experts say more people need to eat more whole grains. President Trump continues to push to add a citizenship question to the upcoming census. How lawmakers are reacting to the move, next on 3. Welcome back. It's 5:21. We're getting a quick update on the forecast this morning. So we know it's going to be another hot and humid day. You can already feel the humidity this morning, and the sun isn't even up yet.
Yes, as soon as you step out the door, it's going to hit you like a brick. I mean, like, honestly, it's going to be kind of a tough thing. You're going to be like, all right, can I make it to the car? That's the big thing. It's like, just get to the car so I can turn on the AC. That's all I need right now. But, you know, it's going to be one of those days that it's going to be another hot and humid one across the area, not just here locally, but across the entire state. So you will not escape the heat if you go anywhere else in the state for today. 74 degrees in Jackson, 75 Vicksburg, 76 in Greenville, 78 right now in Gulfport. The forecast for today back here in central Mississippi, middle 90s, but feels like temperatures that will likely be closer to, say, about 103 to 108 degrees this afternoon. We'll take another check of your 7-day forecast coming up here in just a few minutes.
Take a look at this burned down apartment behind me near Nashville, Tennessee. Apparently over the weekend, 6 children, very young children, were left alone in this apartment. The baby died, an 8-month-old baby. Apparently the parents, 2 mothers, were out at the club, and it's unclear if they left the children alone the whole night. Investigators right now are trying to find out if a babysitter was retained at all, but they say there was no babysitter and no guardian there when they arrived. The other children, all siblings, age 6, 4, 2, and 1, and a 23-month-old, is in critical condition after this fire. Wilson and Symphony.
Thank you, Cheryl. Victims injured during a mall explosion in Florida are moving forward with legal action. Today, a lawyer from Morgan & Morgan will announce they are representing the victims. A shopping center in Plantation, Florida, that is, exploded on Friday, injuring at least 20 people. A nearby worker reported a gas smell at the shopping center shortly before the explosion. The blast destroyed an empty pizza restaurant and damaged other businesses and cars parked outside.
California Congressman, that is, Eric Swalwell, is getting out of the race for the Democratic presidential nomination. His campaign never gained much traction even after the first debate. Swalwell said it was unlikely he would qualify for the fall debates, especially with their tightened eligibility requirements. He had announced his bid 3 months ago, making gun control his top issue. The White House continues its fight to include a citizenship question on the 2020 census. Attorney General William Barr now says there could be a way to include the question, even though the Supreme Court has ruled against it.
Now, this comes as President Trump praises his administration's environmental leadership, despite a record of rollbacks to key environmental and public health protections. Tracy Potts reports.
President Trump says he's considering an executive order to include a citizenship question on the census, despite the U.S. Supreme Court ruling against it.
We can start the printing now and maybe do an addendum after we get a positive decision. So we're working on a lot of things, including an executive order.
It does provide a pathway for getting the question on the census.
The court said the government's reason for asking citizenship isn't good enough. The Justice Department has brought in a new team to fight cases in New York, California, and Maryland. Opponents argue the question will discourage participation in mostly Democratic immigrant communities.
You know, this hat, make America white again. They want to make sure that certain people are counted. It's really disgraceful.
The president's also touting his record on the environment.
My administration has made it a top priority to ensure that America is among the very cleanest air and cleanest water on the planet.
He's out there talking about his crystal clean air and water. We're far from that.
The Environmental Performance Index ranks the U.S. 27th worldwide. Now, on this census, the president has public support. Polls show 2/3 of Americans think it's reasonable to ask, are you a citizen? Tracy Potts, NBC News, Washington.